Hello, welcome to Papa Nick's Music. I am, as always, your host, Papa Nick Lewis, and today we are talking about Daryl Hall and John Oates. Um, Sometimes, and I've mentioned this in past videos, sometimes when I'm looking for new music, I'm looking to expand my library. One of the things that I will do, I'll go out and I'll look for actual new music. I'll check genres that I haven't listened to before or artists that I've heard of but I'm not familiar with, that kind of thing. But one of the things I like to do is I like to go back and revisit bands, revisit musical artists, recording artists that I'm familiar with from their chart-topping output. But I never really listen to their albums. I'm a greatest hits fan, right? And a lot of times I delve into those albums that those hits came from, and I realize, ooh, I really like this. And sometimes I get into it and I realize, ooh, I'll just stick to the hits. Thank you very much. Last summer I had a series of videos that I grouped together under the banner "This Summer of the Bee Gees," because prior to that exercise, I was a greatest hits fan when it came to the Bee Gees. Now I love the Bee Gees. I've got most of their albums, about 2/3 of their albums. They're not all worth having. No offense, Bee Gees fans. But I've added a lot of good music to my library. A few years prior to that, I tried it with ABBA, and that didn't work. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This time around, I've targeted Daryl Hall and John Oates. So last summer was the summer of the Bee Gees. This time around, it's the fall of Hall and Oates. Oh, so clever. I'm familiar with Hall and Oates because I was a sentient being in the mid-70s to mid-80s, and during that time frame, oh my God, these guys were a hit-making machine. They had 6 number 1 hits, for crying out loud. Jeez. They cranked out a lot of really good stuff, and so if you were anywhere near a radio that played top 40, you heard plenty of Hall and Oates throughout the time that I was in high school and college. So I'm familiar with their radio output. I'm familiar with their greatest hits. But I've never really taken a deep dive into their discography. So over the next few weeks, I am going to be immersing myself in Hall & Oates. We'll come out at the end of this, and at the very least, I'll have an album ranking. There might be a top 10 album tracks. There might be top 10 overall tracks. Who knows? There's all sorts of wonderful goodness I might be able to mine out of this. But today we are starting with square one. And square one is my current familiarity with, my current level of enjoyment of the music of Hall & Oates. And in order to get a manageable chunk, because they were hit-making machines, I originally thought, okay, well, I'll limit myself. I wasn't supposed to let that slip. I'll limit myself to songs that crack the Hot 100, Billboard's Hot 100. And it's like, okay, let's trim that down a bit. And I finally trimmed it down to, believe it or not, their top 10 charting songs. If we limit it to top 10 charting songs that Hall & Oates released, we have got 15 songs from 1976 to 1988. So, yeah, 76 to 88. 15 top 10 hits. Jeez Louise. And like I said earlier, 6 of those hit number 1, for crying out loud. I'm getting my charting information. As I said, I'm limiting myself to the top 10 as defined by Billboard's Hot 100, and I'm getting my chart information from Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so we're going to rank their top 10 hits. Are you ready? Cool. Before we get into the ranking, we have to do the subjectivity notice, because of course we have to do the subjectivity notice. This wouldn't be a Papa Nick's Music video if I didn't do the subjectivity notice. I got a brand to uphold here, baby. We firmly believe here at Papa Nick's Music that artistic appreciation is an inherently subjective thing. There's no such thing as objectively good or objectively bad art. There is art that we like and there's art that we do not. And as long as we keep that in mind, this is a wonderful conversation. It's entertaining, it's informative, It's fantastic. It goes off the rails almost instantly the moment when somebody in the conversation insists on being seen as objectively right. No, I am not saying that this is an objective ranking, that my 15th is objectively their worst top 10 charting single, that my number one is objectively their best top 10 charting single. I am not saying that because I don't think that can be said. So obviously, I'm not saying it. So in the comments, if you want to argue with me, that's fantastic. I love having this conversation. Let's just remember, it boils down to taste. Cool? Cool. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into this ranking. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because of all of the the subjects I've done videos on. This is one. I mean, this one and the Beatles, maybe the Beach Boys, maybe. I'm confident that you know these songs. If you are watching this video because you're a Hall & Oates fan and your personal YouTube algorithm got you here, then yeah, you know these songs. And if you're watching this video because you're a fan of mine, you are a person of a similar vintage who enjoys the same kind of music that I enjoy, then you're familiar with these songs. So I don't think I need to spend a whole lot of time talking about what the qualities of the songs are. So this, I'm hoping, knock wood, that this will go pretty quickly. Coming in at number 15, the song on this list that I am hands down the least familiar with, from their album Oh Yeah, or Ooh Yeah, from 1988. It peaked at number 3 on the charts, which is amazing because I'd never heard of it before, but this is 1988, so I'd pretty much stopped listening to Top 40 radio by this point. So I missed it the first time it came out. That is the song Everything Your Heart Desires. So of the songs on this list, this is the one that I had to listen to before I could make this list. And yeah, I don't care for it. So yeah, it's where it belongs. 15. Coming in at number 14, from Big Bam Boom in 1985, a song that made it all the way up to number 5 on the charts, and that's Method of Modern Love. My note, super meh, because my next two have the note meh. It's not a bad song, but it's if it's playing, I'm not going to go out of my way to turn the radio off. But if I'm close enough, I will switch stations. Number 13, we have from Rock and Soul Part 1, one of the 2 original songs on that Greatest Hits compilation from 1984. It went all the way to number 8, and it is Adult Education. Yeah. And I have exactly the same note when it comes to my number 12 song. From H2O in 1983, we have Family Man. Family Man made it all the way to number 6, and I'm surprised by that because, I mean, it's not a bad song, but seriously? Yeah. So that's the stuff that I think is the dross. This is, I'm not fond of these songs. From here on, man, I like these songs. From here on, these are the songs that are the reason why I'm interested in doing this exercise. That and a few other songs that I would put on this list, but they didn't crack the top 10. So these are songs I really, really like. Coming in at number 11, also off of H2O, this was their one of their 6 number ones, the first one to crop up on my list, from 1982, and that is Maneater. Now, it's horribly unfair for me to put Maneater at number 11 because the only reason it doesn't make my top 10 as far as my ranking goes is that I have, in the past, several years, I have heard 2 things that make me realize that the song, as good as it is, could have been even better. The first of those things is I've heard John Oates do his solo version of Maneater, which I really like. Turns it into more of a bluesy song, and that's fantastic. The second is There's a YouTube channel run by a gentleman named Bill McClintock. And if you are not familiar with Bill McClintock's videos, you need to be familiar with Bill McClintock's videos. He does mashups where he takes, the lyrics from one song, the instrumentation of another song, perhaps the solo bits from even more songs, and he edits them all together. It's wonderful. He does wonderful, wonderful work. And he has a version of Maneater that is mashed up with the Supremes' My World Is Empty Without You that is just brilliant. It vastly improves both songs. Usually these things are, okay, they're interesting. It's an interesting exercise. I never realized those two songs, had the similar rhythm, the similar beat, the similar key, and all of that sort of stuff. This is one of the few where Bill McClintock's actually created a better song than what he started with. So I've heard that, and I've heard John Oates' version, and that has colored my sense of Maneater. So it's unfair that it slipped out of the top 10, but what you gonna do? There it is. Okay, coming in at number 10 on my ranking of these 15 songs, from 1981's Private Eyes album, yet another number one hit for the guys, and that is the title track, Private Eyes. My note: I can't imagine this song without the hand claps. Private eyes, they're watching you. Right? I can't imagine it without the hand claps, but I sure would like to. Little hand clapping goes a long way for me. If we can somehow fix that, I'd probably like the song more. Coming in at number 9 from Big Bam Boom. Sorry, lost track of where it was on my spreadsheet. From Big Bam Boom of 1984. This one also hit number 1. It is my third number 1 in a row here. And that is Out of Touch. I really like Out of Touch. It's just a nifty little pop tune. My note is it's the last of their 6 number 1s, solid pop tune. But I really like it. Number 9, Out of Touch. Number 8 from Private Eyes. This one barely cracked the top 10 when it charted. It made it all the way up to number 9. It's the lowest chart peak in my top or in my 15 here. But I think it's a solid pop tune, and I really like it. It's one of my favorite songs on the album, and that is Did It in a Minute. I like Did It in a Minute. I think it's a good song. Rock solid pop tune is my note. Coming in at number 7. Okay, let's stick with Private Eyes from 1981. This is, of course, I Can't Go For That, No Can Do. Now, I got to admit, from this point on, from I Can't Go For That on, these songs were really hard to rank. Now, up to this point, okay, it made sense. The decisions were pretty easy to make. But from this point forward, these are hard because I really, really like all of these songs. I Can't Go For That, No Can Do is coming in at number 7, mostly because it's got some of the Maneater curse to it. I like watching Daryl Hall's Live at Daryl's House episodes, and I don't watch the whole thing. I watch clips of the musical performance because I don't care to watch these guys sitting around a table and eating. Knock yourselves out, guys. But I don't care. But there is a performance that CeeLo Green does of I Can't Go For That is just knock your socks off fantastic. And now that I know that exists, the original kind of pales a little in comparison. So, coming in at number 7, I Can't Go For That, No Can Do. Okay, coming in at number 6, the one that started it for me. This is the first song of theirs that I was aware of, that I knew, okay, that's Hall & Oates. I know that now. And that is from 1977. From the album Bigger Than the Both of Us, their first number 1 hit single. Yes, we are talking about Rich Girl. My note, that intro is seared into the memories of virtually everyone who owned a radio in 1977. Oh man, this song was everywhere, and it's got that distinctive opening with Daryl Hall singing and playing that electric piano, and oh, it's one of those songs that, because it was so prevalent at the time, when I hear it now, I rock it back in time, and I love that. I love that sensation. So, number 6, Rich Girl. Okay, number 5. When I first started thinking about these songs, or when I first started thinking about doing this video, excuse me, put it that way, I would have thought, I was fully prepared for this to be my number 1 song, because I've always adored this song. And it wasn't until I was actually putting it next to the other songs that I realized, no, there are 4 songs I like better. But I just assumed that my number 1 was going to be from 1981's Voices album, or from Voices, released in the single was released in 1981. Off the top of my head, I don't remember if Voices was released in 80 or 81. Who cares? But number 5 is Kiss on My List, because I love Kiss on My List. I would have thought that was going to be my number 1. Turns out, no, there are 4 songs I like better. So, hey, I'm already learning stuff. My note, up-tempo, happy, fun pop song. Sure, you can't always understand the lyric, but what the hell? Daryl Hall is one of those singers that every once in a while, he's putting so much soul into what he's saying that I can't keep track of the actual words that he's using. He's not quite Kenny Loggins bad. He's not quite Michael McDonald bad, but he's in that he's in that ballpark. But Kiss on My List, number 5. I love that song. I just don't love it quite as much as I love from the other original single that they recorded for their Rock and Soul Part 1 Greatest Hits album in 1983. We've got the single Say It Isn't So, which I just think is fantastic. Oh, I love Say It Isn't So. My note, perfect pop tune. I love this song. My number 3 is their first top 10 hit from the self-titled Daryl Hall and John Oates album, released in 1976. We have Sarah Smile. Made it all the way up to number 4. And I love Sarah Smile. My note, it's a wonderful, smooth ballad that Daryl Hall was born to sing. I mean, Daryl Hall is just, he has few, if any, peers when it comes to singing certain types of songs. And Sarah Smile, it's just right up there. I can't imagine anybody singing it better. Just, at least I haven't heard CeeLo Green take a crack at it yet. So, coming in at number 2, the other smash hit off of Voices, released in 1981, made it all the way up to number 5, and that is You Make My Dreams. My note for You Make My Dreams, by the way, is the same as Kiss on My List. Up-tempo, happy, fun pop song. Sure, you can't always understand the lyric, but what the hell. You Make My Dreams, I think, edges out Kiss on My List because I think it's a little bit more iconic. It's a little bit more, this is a more, even though Kiss on My List made it to number 1 and You Make My Dreams only made it to number 5, I think You Make My Dreams is the more recognizable signpost for the era. It stands out more to me. I think it's more distinctive sounding a song. So that's why I've got it at number 2. But number 1, I originally thought, okay, Kiss on My List, that's probably going to be my number 1. Or Sarah Smile, because, oh man, I love Sarah Smile. But when I started actually looking at their top 10 hits, I realized, no, the top 10 hit that they had that I think is just perfect. It is fantastic. It is one of my all-time favorite songs. It only made it to number 7 on the top 10, which is a crime. It should have been number 1, from 1983, from their H2O album, One on One. Oh my God. The only note I have to have for that is perfect ballad, because it is a perfect ballad. It's one of those songs that every once in a while I think, I'd really like to be able to perform this song, but there's no way that I could even come close to doing this song, because there's no way that I could even come close to an approximation of Daryl Hall on his worst day, right? It's just, yeah, there are certain songs that are just perfect the way they are, and if I'm going to try to do it, all I'm going to do is tarnish that perfection, right? One on One by Hall and Oates is one of those songs. So that's how I would rank the 15 top 10 charting singles released by Daryl Hall and John Oates. What do you think? Have I got it right? Have I got it wrong? Where did I go off the tracks? Leave that note below. I always love hearing from you. I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed the video, thanks for that. I'd appreciate it if you'd click the like button. While you're down there clicking the like button, let me try that again. While you're down there clicking the like button, go ahead and click the subscribe button as well if you have not already done so. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to me, so I very much appreciate it if you do. While you are clicking, go ahead and click the bell for notifications. The YouTube folks like that, so I appreciate it on their behalf. Thanks again for hanging around with me today, and I hope that the rest of your day is delightful. See you soon.